Hello, internet friends. My name is Catherine, and I'm the human behind Christian Miss Couture. And today we are experimenting with natural dyeing. So I was asked a while ago if I was ever going to try natural dyeing, and today's the day. It's nice outside, and I figured why not start to experiment with natural dyeing. So eventually, I think we're going to go outside and forage for natural dye things. I believe dandelions are something that we can use, so I will have a video at some point about that. Um, and today we're testing out if there is a difference between green tea and black tea when it comes to natural dyeing. Because I have a bunch of expired tea. Does it actually expire? Okay, this is a question for another day. So we're going to be experimenting with green tea and black tea to see if their final result will have a difference in shade. Because I believe that since they're both tea, we will have something similar shade-wise. So let's get into this. Hey friends, guess what we're doing now? We're going to try natural dyeing with tea. So I have here green tea and I have black tea. So from my understanding, you could probably use any sort of tea. You can use herbal and stuff like that. However, in tea, there is some natural mordant that will help you dye your fiber. So, from believe it or not, I actually did some research this time. So, we're just going to try it out with 5 tea bags for each because we're only going to be dyeing 2 skeins of each colorway. And I'm going to start with 5 bags of each since there's a lot of color that can come out from those. And from there, one of the question I have is definitely the repeatability, the possibility of being able to repeat the same colors over time. If I were to do this, because I'm an indie dyer, right? So my goal in life, not in life. Ugh, that was weird. So my goal is always to see how repeatable something is and have fun also at the same time because why not have fun while you can. Anyways, oh my gosh, I'm being weird this morning. I'm sorry. Okay, so we're going to be using those 2 teas. And I think this summer I will try to use other different ways of naturally dyeing things. And I think that this is a good opportunity for you if you want to get your hands on starting to dye. Using those tea bags and things like that is a good idea because you most likely have it at home. It is relatively inexpensive. And instead of using citric acid, you could use white vinegar, which will do the same thing. It will smell weird, but that's just my personal preference. Okay, so we're going to grab 2 pots of water and add 18, I would say 18 cups of tap water in it, and we're going to be sipping this. So I will see you in the pots in 1 minute. Okay, so we're going to do, and I lied actually. So it was 27 cups of tap water that I added in each of those. So here we're going to have the black tea. Notice I've removed any packaging, any strings or anything, any papers. So we only have the tea bags. And here we're going to be adding the green tea. And same thing, I removed all packaging and everything and we're going to be adding it to our pot. So we're going to let it infuse for so this is personal preference from what I was able to gather while doing my research for how long you want it, because the more infused it is, like the more color will be in there. And I have no acid as of right now in this. And if the tea bags like fall apart because they're not necessarily the best quality, that's fine because you can just use one of your a little strainer or something to remove it. And anyways, when you're going to be washing your yarn, you will remove any debris that could be left from the tea bags. So we're going to let this simmer. It's going to take a little bit longer because we have more water to reach a good point of almost boiling at this point. Um, no acid in it. However, when I did my pre-soak for the yarn, I did add some citric acid into my into the thing. But some. So here's the thing: some sources said to add the acid when you were pre-soaking your fiber, and some didn't. So, sorry. So we'll have to see. We might just do another experience at some point to compare the pre-soak with acid versus without acid if it changed anything. Um, we're still going to be adding acid to those pots at some point when we're adding the yarn. So we're going to let this simmer and we'll be back. Okay, so I don't know if you can see, but I had a little problem here, and one of the tea bag did end up opening a little bit. So we do have some loose tea leaves in there, which is fine. I think I'm gonna stop here for the infusion. It's so nice because it smells so delicious. I like tea, so I really like and enjoy the different smells we have here. So I'm just going to strain those, remove the loose as much as possible, the loose tea bags, and we're going to be able to add our yarn that was pre-soaked with um, a bit of acid. Like I said, if you can, like I bought those strainers at the dollar store, so I'm pretty sure you could find them there as well. And as usual, we don't use those pots for anything else than dyeing. Like, even though it is technically natural dye, we still want to make sure that we don't mix it up with the things we use to cook our food. So since we don't have a whole lot of tea bags in there, we will probably have a very subtle color, which is perfectly fine if this is what you want. Most likely, if we wanted a darker color, we could just let the tea steep for much longer, and we could also just use more tea bags as well. And I'm curious to see if we will see a difference in color or no between the green tea and the black tea, because I could see a difference in the pot. I just don't know if it's going to show once it's there. So we're going to let this for at least an hour, I would say, because it will take a little bit longer. And since it's not citric acid and acid dye, basically I'm expecting to have some leftover colors in here, because it's like in any natural dye, you will have leftovers after dyeing it. So we're going to let this cook and we'll be back. Okay, so there was not a whole lot of dye left into the pot, which is good. There was a hint of the dye from the tea bags. It was very minimal, probably because I didn't use a whole lot of tea bags, which it was the first time I was going to dye with it. I didn't want to use a ton of it, so it's just like purely for my mental health, and like I just wanted to see how bad, I would say, well, you know, how bad the leaking and bleeding would be, because from what I've read, you will have some bleeding when you're doing some natural dyeing, just due to the nature of the natural dye, which is perfectly fine with me as long as I'm prepared and I know that I'm going to have to experience a little bit of bleeding. I'm okay. Like, it's not like the time I did the cotton and the fiber reactive dyes, where I was not expecting that much dyeing, so it was a little scary to see it. This time I was prepared for dyeing with natural dye. I was prepared mentally to have some bleeding and to have the water still full of dye. I was prepared for that. However, since I didn't use a whole lot of tea bags, this is probably 100% one of the reason I'm assuming that we had minimal bleeding for both of the colors. So for the green tea and the black tea, I had minimal bleeding. I was expecting much more bleeding, but I'm very happy to say that we had very, very minimal bleeding. So the less you use, the more minimal the bleeding is, which we kind of figured out, right? With any videos we've done with dyeing, we know that bleeding might be part of it, and that's why we should always use cold water or lukewarm water when you are washing your finished object with hand dyed yarn. Also, one thing that I've read is that since it is a natural dye, it might fade a little bit more than with acid dyes, which is okay. You just have to make sure that you take care of your things. And even with acid dyes, we know that we will have some fading over time. So it's just something that you need to remember. And here I'm leaving the skeins longer in the water simply because I want to make sure that I remove all excess of the tea dye we've made. And honestly, I really enjoyed this process. It smells so much nicer than dyeing with citric acid, and well, not citric acid because we use citric acid to bind, because you always need a mordant no matter what dye you're using. So yeah, where was I going with this? Oh yeah, no, I was talking about acid dyes. That's okay. So sorry, my brain. So basically, we want to do this. We always know that we might have some bleeding. We always know that we need to take care of this, and that we possibly can have fading occurring with time, which is normal because, you know, even industrial dyes will fade over time. Just think about your black t-shirts that you love so much. It will eventually fade. So I've been rambling a lot. So yes, I was saying it stays in there to ensure that we have removed all of the excess dye from this, and I'll come back in the pan in the dye in whoa. I cannot talk. I'm sorry. I will go grab a cup of coffee and come back and finish this narration. Okay, so what we're doing, we are making sure that we remove all the excess dye, and what we're going to do after that, put it in a spin dryer, let it dry overnight, and we'll see the final result in a moment. And see, no more bleeding. And here's the final result of our natural dyeing experiment with tea bags. So here we have the green tea, and here we have the black tea. And Zoe, if she could, yeah, it smells nice, I know. Okay. So you can see that it's a very subtle color change and a subtle color difference. So this one is more on the very soft and yellow pastel compared to this one where we have more of a golden glow to it. There's more of like, Zoe, stop. There's more of an ochre color into it. Move, move, move. Come on, move, move. Thank you. So yeah, so this is the main difference between the two, and we can see that it's very still pastel for both of them because we didn't use a whole lot of tea bags. We only used 5 bags for each, and I feel like I should have used more. And I think I'm going to redo this experiments with opening the black tea bags because it is very close in color, and I was expecting a more drastic difference between the green tea and the black tea. Oh, ouch. So that's also something I was expecting, and I didn't see the difference that much. There is a difference. You can see that there is a contrast, but it's more on the lower end of what contrast could be. But it's very fun. I think I'm going to do. So, hey, leave the tripod alone. I think I'm going to redo the experiment with more tea bags and opening the tea bags next time. So that way we could see I hope we could see a bigger difference between the skeins and the colors, and we'll also be able um to see the difference between this time and the next time. So if you've liked the video, please consider sharing, liking, and subscribing, and I will see you in the next one very soon. Bye.